Easy me so long. Welcome to the Tempest Universe. Manny, today's special, Robin with fried rice.
China.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
It's China to me, China.
Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside.
China.
This is the Tempest Universe, man. Hold on to your ass. You're in for a hell of a ride.
Hey, welcome to the Tempest Universe. I'm your host, Manny. And this week, kind of like last week, we're getting some folks in here to kind of share their UFO experiences. And today we got two gentlemen who were part of the documentary The Middle, the Cascadia Guides. First up that we're going to introduce to you is Terry Linch out of Oregon. Terry, welcome to the podcast today.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me.
And also Donald Ledesma. And Donald, of course, thank you for coming to this particular podcast in this episode, because you played a big part in putting this documentary together.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Let me tell you, like I told both of them earlier, I've watched this thing 3 times already. And yeah, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of things that if you go to watch it, you will be amazed at. Number one is the setup, the landscape, the editing, but the story itself is really important because there's mysteries up dealing with the Cascadia Guides.
Yeah, and that was the hard thing is putting this home film together. Like I said, when Terry approached me a few years ago and he showed me this find that he had up there, and I was like, I told him, I said, hey, bro, I know you just introduced yourself to me, but we have to show this to people. We're gonna have to document this, and he was on board right away, to just to try to figure out what we were seeing, because he hadn't gone up there yet. So and it's up there in Oregon at Paulina Peak. If you watch the movie, it pretty much starts from that air that. But when he started showing me the images and everything that he had found, and then when he finally went up there about almost a year later, he went up there and then he just took some small video and everything, and what he was introducing on his social media platform, that he was trying to show people what he had found. But and I just figured that we should make a film about this to show a bigger audience exactly what he had found.
And we're really glad you did. So Donald, you're the host of the Alien Strand podcast.
Oh yeah.
And you're also the CEO and director, and you're part of your organization. Was it Led's Production? Led's Production, yeah. That's and so through the podcast is how you met this gentleman who had an experience. So you are literally not only a ufologist, but you're an experiencer, Terry. Tell us a little bit about what kind of motivated you to contact Donald about your experience.
Well, when I first started, what had happened was I had a what's called a CE3 event. That's where I was, me and my stepson, we were together in the car. And as we were driving down the road, I saw something in the skyline, and that thing that was in the skyline was very close to us, very close proximity. And I had an eye-to-eye contact with that craft and the being that was in the center of that craft. That led to a whole bunch of other things. I'm going to kind of cut myself right there because we have a second movie called The Middle, CE3, and that's pretty much what that whole, not the whole story, but some of my portion of the story is about. So anyway, what that led to, after seeing something eye to eye, it seems like I've been able to find things a little easier than the average person when I look at things like satellite imagery. And when I start looking down on the earth, it's amazing the things that I find. And this in particular day, I found this back to back, what I call the Cascadia Guides. They're right here, middle of my shirt. When you get up there, you don't realize how big these things are until you actually get up there, and they're massive actually for what they are. They had after time, it was time that took for these things to uncover again. There was an eruption up there on the top of Plana Peak where there's a big rift right through the top, and that let out a big obsidian flow that runs almost down to Plana Lake and East Lake. Anyway, when it spit this ash and plume up, it covered the whole top of this volcano right up at the top of Plana Peak. That was about 6,000 years ago?
Yeah, about.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was about 6,000. It's actually, that's relatively not long ago in volcano. Anyway, I was fortunate enough that when I started doing all of this, my father and family, they supported this, and I got to get some courses on geology. I got to get courses on photography, filmmaking, things like that. And then all of that told me I need to get a hold of Donald Ledesma, somebody who knows how to do this stuff, and somebody who was actually understanding and wasn't going to just laugh it off, you know.
Right.
Whenever you start talking about this type of project, 9 out of 10 people will laugh at you in your face if you say you're going to make a UFO documentary.
Yeah, the stigma is still alive, right? The stigma. Yeah, even though we've had so much so-called disclosure, the stigma is still there.
It really is. And then you end up with somebody like Donald Ledesma that will take a big chance. And when he took that big chance, I mean, we're talking his time. He drove all the way out here from Texas, and there's a lot of uncertainty in between here. He had to go with people that I suggested and make sure that they were right for the job. We, out of just the grace of I don't know if you want to call it God or what you want to call it, luck. It was luck. I ended up meeting a guy named Ken Wills Jr. And this guy, he just happens to speak this language, you know, of what we're looking at up there. He absolutely understands what he's looking at. He was able to give us a good analysis of what we were saying and what he was saying.
Yeah.
And it's something that's like it's pre-Columbian. God, that's how ancient this type of structure is that's sitting on top of that mountain.
Yeah, it's something else to find that, especially in the middle of nowhere, really remote area that you have to travel to.
It's in a national park.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of a national park.
Yeah, that is amazing that you came across that. So was it your experience that drove you to use satellite imagery in order to find what's up there?
Yeah, it was. I like to use Google Maps. People don't give Google Maps enough credit. You've got all kinds of different mapping systems here. Sometimes they don't blur out the things that are there. I mean, they just don't know what all's there. So you can actually come down, if everybody was to take a few minutes and just start coming down into the wilderness areas, right, you're going to start seeing things that you didn't know were there and no one else did. These things exist where we don't exist. They move at speeds that we can't see them. Mm-hmm. So what you end up with is you've got this thing that if you see it, you think it's a bug that went by because it went by so fast. Up where I'm at, I would have to say where I'm at as far as Earth rotation, I like to boast that we're at about a 733 mile an hour rotation. You get closer to the equator, it's more like 1,000 miles an hour, a little over actually.
Can I add something in there, Terry, real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so before he had this encounter, Terry did not know anything about ufology, anything about any of this stuff. He didn't know anything about the way the world spun, everything, all the science of it, in other words. So what you're hearing right now him talk about is when he had eye-to-eye contact with this thing, he actually saw it and they looked at him.
Right.
It smiled at me.
It smiled at you.
Yeah.
It smiled at me. It did smile at me.
And then it's like something opened up for him, like he said in the film. I wanted to find out how this craft worked, what I saw in the sky, right? So of course he dug into books and he dug into everything, but just to let your audience know, he didn't know any of this stuff. And this just tells you the power that's behind, or the force, I'm just going to say, that's kind of behind what's helping, what helped him find, I believe, the Cascadia Guides.
Interesting. So Terry, take me to like before the actual experience itself, the incident. Were you someone that was into ufologists? Were you researching UFOs? Did you believe?
No. Okay. No, before this situation happened, I was okay. What was going on was I was driving to work. It was 5:45 in the morning. We left about 4 in the morning because how far away we are. There was snow and stuff on the ground. We were in the middle of we were having a lunar eclipse literally at the time.
Oh.
Okay. There was literally a lunar eclipse happening. This was January 28th, 2019 at 5:45 in the morning. This is the day I started ufology. We pulled up on an intersection. When I pulled up on this intersection, it was 5 spheres over the top of a billboard, and the center sphere of the 5 spheres had it was a larger sphere. Well, before before this was turned towards me, there was a sphere coming from what looked like down the train tracks and attached to this. Once that attached, it went boom, and it looked like it was a boat in the water. It just boom when it attached, and then it started to lift towards me. As it started to turn towards me, I keep calling what I saw a large gray. I'm starting to lean towards what they call a tall white. I'm starting to lean towards that because that seems to be more correct, like something that was a Palladian type thing. Anyway, this thing, what I had seen, it was doing something. It had come down. Imagine me as the pilot of this craft. It was doing something, and it come down, and it brought its hand right across the screen. Well, when it brought its hand across that screen, it looked directly over at me and it smiled. And when it smiled and me and this thing looked at each other eye to eye, well, that's when I went ahead and I popped the clutch on my Subaru and I got the hell out of there.
Exactly. I think I would have done that way before then.
Well,
we
I
would
was
not
kind
be
of
sharing glances.
Well, here's what the thing was: is me and my stepson, we both said the same thing about this. As we were pulling up onto this thing. Okay, we're on it's was it Wilson Street and 9th Street. We're coming down Wilson. We're getting ready to turn on Business Way and Bend. Anyway, we stop at the turn. We just come to a complete stop. We're both looking up at this thing. We're completely dumbfounded, but we both felt a complete. It was like we weren't afraid. We were completely calm. There wasn't anything that was really scaring us. We were just kind of looking at what we were. By the way, at the time I had my 45 with me, so I also felt like I was kind of safe in that department.
Right.
but I not at one point did I pull it out. You know, at the time I had a concealed license, but I always had it with me. So it wasn't like I didn't feel like I was threatened that way. But when I'm looking at this thing, I realize this isn't something I've ever seen before, and very very few people probably have ever seen it in their life. After I saw that, the only thing I could think of is, just like Donald had said, I needed to go learn. So I started studying from Dr. Leonardo Susskind. You know who he is?
Doesn't sound familiar.
He's the world's leading string theorist physicist.
Okay.
He teaches over at Stanford University, runs Stanford University's physics department. He does free lectures on. You can go onto YouTube and you can catch any lecture that he does. They're all about 2.5 hours long. I've done almost every one of his lectures. Going on my third time now.
Oh, that's incredible. So this really was life-changing for you. I mean, this totally changed your perspective.
Before that, it was beer and guns, brother.
Okay.
Well,
you don't got to give those things up.
No, I still have them all.
Hey, by the way, we got joined by Dre, because Dre actually was the one who got me in contact with Donald about this documentary. Thanks, Dre.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Dre.
Hi, Terry.
Thank you, Dre. Hey, what's going on, brother?
How's it going, man? Actually, Donald just lives right around the corner from us.
Oh,
yes, I do.
So have you seen the madness? I'm sure.
Yeah.
So Donald, it sounds like Terry was compelled to find someone that can get this message out. And how did you react when he reaches out to you the first time and says, "Hey, I've got something for you"?
Yeah, and that's because I've been doing Alien Strand podcasts since 2019, I believe, June or July. So I was already doing all these stories and everything like that. So when Terry contacted me about a year later, when he first showed me this, I was like, wow, that's freaking crazy. And I was like, what the hell is that? That's the first thing that came out of my mouth. What the hell is that? So he was just typing back and forth and just sending me a bunch of messages to, how you can send like instant messenger and just showing me things. And I was like, Terry, I've never seen anything like this before. I've seen geoglyphs before. We know they exist, but I didn't think that there was a geoglyph in Oregon, right? I know that there's a lot of things around it, but the way it looked, and then he told me, we all kind of at the same time, this thing looks like two back-to-back aliens, because of the size of their heads, their bodies, their arm lengths. You could see it in the film. Legs are skinny, long arms. It's just, and that's when I told him. I said, "Hey, man, we have to put this on film." I said, "I'm gonna figure out a way, Terry." At the time, I didn't have the expensive, super expensive equipment that I ended up purchasing because I was. I was like in tune with him. It's like saying, "All right, dude, let's do this. We have to do this." So we planned for about 1.5 years. I bought, man, I ain't gonna lie to you. It cost me about $15,000 worth of camera equipment, right? Because I wanted to make sure that this was gonna work. That whatever you see on film was gonna be what people were going to be able to see, in a sort of cinematic scale, because anybody could have done it with their phone and stuff like that. But the process of putting it all together, me learning the editing, I was already doing editing already. Mm-hmm. So, once we got it all together and I said, "Hey, let's make something out of this because we have to show the world, of what you found up there, because it's important." And I hadn't seen it yet in person. I didn't know what to expect when I started filming from day one, because when I started, me and my son drove He did the sound for me and helped me with the. It took us 11 days to do this. So the first 2-3 days we were in New Mexico. We filmed Ken Wells. We stayed there 2 days. Next place, we went to Arizona. We filmed Gallegos over there in Arizona. And that was a good distance from there. And then we drove these back ways. We didn't even know where the hell we were going, but it took us where we needed to go, right? And I was contacting people. Say, hey man, I hope I'm going the right way. I'm over here. So finally, we made it. And that was a day and a half for Gallegos, and then we got to Oregon, and it was like this. My time was running out. I only had a small window, of filming. By then, it was already July of June, August. Yeah, it was already August 1st. So I had left a few days, like on the 28th, something like that. 27th. And August 1st, I showed up there at his house, right at the door. He greeted me, and I said, you know what? We ready? He goes, I'm ready. Let's go, and he was ready to go day one, but we waited, and then the next morning we got up, took off, got out there to what we had to do, packed everything just like you see in the film. Everything that you see in the film is happening in real time. It was not. I didn't want to really script a lot of stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because some documentaries, they script a lot of things just to make it look, more, cinematic or more movie-ish, which is great. But I wanted the people to see the realism of Terry Linch and the process of putting everything together to get up there on top of that mountain. I didn't expect this, because hey, I ain't gonna lie to you, Terry knows this. So yeah. I am scared as hell on heights. Okay, any 3 stories, 2 stories, I'm scared. You know what I mean? And I get scared. So anyway, he said, "Well, Don, you're in for a treat." And I was like, "Okay, well, yeah, you are right." So man, when we started climbing, and my son's usually not afraid of heights at all. Once we got to the top of that mountain up there on top of Paulina Peak, he didn't want to get out of the truck.
Oh, I do not blame him. Let me tell you, you captured that very well. I can tell you that much. You captured the amazing height and the death-defying falls that you could have if you're not paying attention. That's for sure. Since we're talking about the film and the quality, let's play the trailer real quick, so folks can get a kind of a glimpse of what they're going to see. And by the way, the link is in the description for the full documentary. But let's check this out. For you guys who are listening at home, you want to come on to YouTube to see it.
In the process of my research, I found this location as I was searching through satellite imagery. It looks to me like it resembles a sphere.
When I first seen my first sighting, I actually seen a whole fleet of them.
So I saw it and I stood right here and I thought, do I want to walk into the light?
That's what was lit up. But there was no sound.
Come on, guys, follow me to the Cascadia Guides. We're here.
Yes, I do feel like I'm connected with them. I am what they call a CE3.
Why not believe it?
There you go. That's a glimpse of the film.
Donald, you did good.
It was fantastic. I mean, the trailer just grabs you, right? Because you want to know more. And here's a question for you, just out of the blue, just because we know certain other people who do UFO documentaries like to be in their films. I didn't see you in the film.
Who, me?
Yeah, Donald.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at the end of the film.
Oh, at the very end. Okay, I got you.
At the very, I'm close to the very end. I'm like one of the last ones, or right before it closes out on the film. So I do come out at the very end. I don't know. I might look a little different or something. Maybe I'm wearing a different shirt. But No, I mean, and it's not just about the what I want people to know out there. It's not just about the Cascadia Guides. It's about ufology. You know, UFOs out there that everyday people are catching in the sky, right? So of course we have the footage from Shauna Gilmer, and then we have the footage, you know, from Jody Gordon. We have Ani Ball, our friend out there in Colorado. You know, they it shows their names on these films because they're the ones that filmed this stuff too. It's got Terry's footage in there as well. It's got Chris Hamill's footage in there. You know, all these people are normal people like you and I every day, and they're catching these things that some people call bugs, you know, because it goes so fast, right?
Right.
And it's talking about filming. So when you see something go by, right, pretty quick. So usually when you stop and you pause when you're watching footage, if it's within that 1 second that went by, then yeah, it's probably going to be a bug. If you don't see it within that second, you have to go into 1/10 of a frame, and then you start seeing this thing go by. That's when you know you got a craft. So this is how in this film,
part of our training.
Yeah, it's training. We're showing people how to do this. Terry's telling you how to do this. All these people are showing you how to film UFOs. I catch them here. I catch them here in the sky, right over Corpus Christi, Texas, man. A friend of mine in Skidmore, he's actually my drummer. He just barely got into this. You know, he's sending me all kinds of things, you know, on his footages. But, you know, this is the film that will catch, you know, your attention, because not just because of the Cascadia Guides, it's a brand new find that Terry uncovered up there, found, and then what it shows you is how to film as an individual with yourself, with your own cameras, you know what I mean, cell phones, etc.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, both of you guys and everyone involved with the film should be extremely proud of the end product, because the message is loud and clear. You got to look to the skies, number one. Otherwise, having an interest in ufology and not researching it in person, being out there, it's kind of difficult, right? But Terry introduced a new level of this, and that is using things like technology that's already set there for everyday use, you know, and you can find things.
Right.
And that's fantastic. But out of this, we also have the Alien Strand Disclosure Project.
That's
so
correct.
How did that come about?
Well, Terry and I were talking, and you know, we thought that there's people that are interested in ufology, and there's people that are kind of just look at ufology like, oh, okay, well, all right, that's CGI or whatever. They're not really into like trying to figure out what they're seeing in the sky or whatever. They take a photo of and they put it on Facebook or whatever social media platform, right? And then a lot of people make fun of it or whatever. We don't do that. We in Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we are actually it's an educational page for people to post their pictures up there. We'll all analyze them together, you know, or we'll show footage that looks pretty damn real, or somebody will start analyzing it with our spectrum and our everything that we use on programs, right? So Terry said, "Hey man, let's put this together," and I said, "You know what? That's a great idea." And it's a private group. It's on Facebook, but and what we do is we watch people out there that are in the UFO pages or ufology pages, groups, whatever, and we notice that people start, you know, asking a lot of questions about ufology or anything like that, or how can they figure this out, and we point them the right direction on what apps to download, right? What shutter speeds should you have if you have a manual camera, you know, instead of a phone camera. We teach you all kinds of things. Terry will teach you quantum physics if you want to learn a little bit more about how these things work. So we on that group, we post a lot of things, and we all work together as a team. Everything we do in ufology is a team effort. So everybody puts their input, you know, of course, all these people that you saw in this film are in that group. So they're all in that group as well. So because they know the seriousness of ufology and what it's about. And like we were talking about earlier, the stigmas of people thinking that, you're crazy or whatever, you know, because it's not real or whatever. But, you know, we're disclosing it in this different way. So that way people can catch it for themselves and learn as you go. That's what this film's about too. So like I was talking about earlier, it's about the Cascadia Guides for sure, number one. But number two is to learn and to learn how to film these things and to see them and to know what you're seeing in the sky.
Yeah, Terry, that goes to you as well as far as the group. Do you think that you guys have enough, technology and things like that to break through some of these findings and kind of get some. We know it's not going to be 100% concrete, but to get some answers as to what's happening in that area.
Yeah, I believe that the equipment that we've got currently, I'm really curious to start using different computer programs. My main goal is to get myself kind of a laboratory going that I can produce better results as these results come to be. I look towards Mr. Ledesma as the outlet for being able to show and share my disclosure. I look towards like Chris Hemmel to help me with filtrations, and he will, even no matter what kind of computer I get, he's going to be teaching me how to use every new thing I get, and he's already ahead of me on those types of things. But with these different ufologists from all around the world, Mr. Dave Monday over in the Isle of Wight out of England. That gentleman, he uses a P1000 Nikon, a P900 Nikon, and he's getting things that are traveling past him through the English Channel. We're taking all of this stuff and we're analyzing it. We're seeing these different locations. What we're wanting to do is at some point we're going to want to try and find out trajectory. And then once we start finding out trajectory, we're going to want to find out the lengthwise. We're going to try and put somebody underneath it on the other side of the planet to see if that same craft goes right over the top of you, you know? And this has everything to do with the parallels of the Earth and the rotation of the Earth. I started to get into that earlier about Earth rotation and the different locations you are on the Earth. I'm starting to find that their low speed of these craft is simply just Earth rotation. Okay, wherever they are on the Earth, that's how fast they're going to take off, and they're going to take off in that position of Earth rotation. In other words, they're sitting here, they're on what's called a magnetic flux tube. Do you understand what magnetic flux tubes are?
No, I've never heard the term.
Okay, what
magnetic flux I understand, but tubes not so much.
Okay, so this is what quantum levitation is based on. Okay, quantum levitation. If you take a moment, you can actually go out and you look up what quantum levitation is, and what it is they've got a superconductive material that they put into a state of like a deep freeze, just to give you an idea. You take it and you dip it in like liquid nitrogen, which is the actual correct temperatures that you're going to want. And what you do is you take this superconductive material and you put it over the top of a magnetic track, and it will levitate. Okay, you can put it into several different positions and does what's called quantum lock. Quantum lock is exactly what our moon is doing with the Earth. Okay, it's in quantum lock. It doesn't spin. It doesn't do anything. It just sits there in that one spot. You know how that moon moves? The Earth turns. Okay, so now I'm going to explain something to you that usually blows everybody's damn mind. What happens is you've got the craft sitting here, right? It's on magnetic flux tubes because when you have a it's called quantum it's called quantum levitation is what it's called. And what happens is now you got this thing up at this location, and it releases the magnetic flux tubes from the superconductive, and what ends up happening is now once it's released, that the Earth rotates under it, the craft's staying still. Okay, so you've got a rotation at the center of the Earth that's over 1,000 miles an hour. Up to where I'm at, it's about 733. That's where I like to call my speed, is 733. And it gets even slower the further towards the North Pole or the South Pole that you go. Okay, this all takes place. Einstein has shown how you can travel around this planet just simply by using anything between the 33rd parallels of this planet, you can move around this planet a lot faster if you take your flights that way. It'll get you anywhere you need to go. Fast.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's funny that before your experience, you didn't delve into any of this, isn't that?
No,
interesting?
I really liked beer.
Yeah. Now,
but you know, the kind of crazy part about that is that when people see a UFO in the sky or they see a video of it or whatever, they don't think about how it's flying or how it's moving at the speed it's moving at, right? They're not thinking about the miles per hour or, you know, what the hell's making this thing move like this, or why it's above our atmosphere, or why can it go in water, or why can it go in a volcano and not explode, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're buoyant.
Yeah, these are the things that we think about, us as ufologists, and probably as yourself when you see videos or films like that. And this is what we're dissecting, and this is what Terry's dissecting when he's talking about quantum theory of the way the magnetic flux tubes, the way it locks and everything. It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
And I remember all of that. When back in the day was that Japan had that train that levitated using that same process.
That's right.
And actually, just over the weekend, they announced that they have a semiconductor now that does not have to be brought down to absolute zero. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because you know that's going to have a lot of military application there. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, thank you for the explanation. You brought me right up to speed, so I knew exactly what you're talking about. But you know, I've been on here. I've seen the film like 3 times. I'm gonna bring Dre in for a second. As someone who saw the film, Dre, what do you think? And what question do you have? Because you saw the film.
Yeah, it was interesting. I got you're out there. Has any park rangers stopped and talked to Terry? Has the National Forestry?
Usually they see me with a firearm on. They just want to wave and keep going. If they figure that I'm competent. So if there's a problem, they'll probably hear shots fired. I do more than just carry firearms with me. I go up there. I use handheld radios when I go up. I notify folks that I'm going. 9 out of 10 times if I go up there, and this is 9 out of 10 times, if I go anywhere around here, I have my team, which I call Oregon Ufology and Research. We go out. Now I'm the research guy. Okay. Jonathan Mitchell, who you've seen out there being real brave and stacking.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Probably one of the most wonderful scenes of the whole documentary, Jonathan.
I know, right?
Dude, you freaking nailed that, man. Anyway,
what is he thinking?
He is not only is he brilliant. Okay. Yeah. He's the guy is 100% on whatever wavelength I'm on, sometimes a little beyond mine. He takes care of security. We go out, and sometimes we'll be in some of the places that you'll hear things in the woods while I hear things. He's watching. I hear things in the woods while I'm trying to film the skyline, or I'm trying to film the side of a mountain where I think might see something coming out of the side of it, something like that. Well, meanwhile, he's the one that's watching what's moving around down in the lava flow down below us, or coming out of the tree line around us. Maybe there's been occasions where I've seen bears move, and it's not just by myself on top of Banana Peak, but I've been out there on the Cascade Lakes Highway, which is literally, it's my backyard and Jonathan's backyard. And we see things like different types of bears, different types of elk, cougars. We have, there's wild pig in the area. There's eagles here. There's any kind of thing that you can think of that you would think of in a national park or in the Cascade Mountain Range. We live in the middle of the Cascades. So we have to be prepared for the thing that decides it wants to be hungry and we're dinner.
Right. There are plenty of natural predators out there for sure.
Right. I mean, you can only throw so many beer cans before they're not thirsty.
Right.
So
to answer your question, Okay, so did you see that part of the film where Terry's on top of that mountain and you see the kind of drone footage going at him or behind him and kind of flies over him? Okay, so I'm flying the drone up there. We're on top of this place called Black Rock, right? And
Black Rock, yeah.
It's a beautiful place up there.
The whole thing's full of bears.
Oh yeah, so we're filming up there, right? And then we're shooting the drone up. So the drone's up there, and I'm trying to get as much footage as I can. Mind you, there was a fire out there, so that's why it kind of looks a little smoky in the background. But I think that gave us a little bit more dramatic effect on the film itself, just the way it looked, the smokiness. But anyway, so we're flying the drone back, right? I'm taking some footage of everything with my phone and cameras and everything. All of a sudden, Terry looks that way. He goes, "Hey, there's a park ranger coming." Forestry. There's a forestry, and I'm like, oh crap, right? So I wasn't used to anything like that. Whatever. I'm just filming, right? And I had just brought the drone down. My son caught it, and we brought the drone. And right when they pulled up, and then Terry walks up to them and just starts talking to them right off the bat. They're nice people. They weren't afraid of anything. We weren't being any kind of doing anything bad. We just said, "Oh, we're just filming a UFO documentary," and they're like, "Oh, really? Out here?" And it was, "Yeah, we're." So he started telling them about what we were doing, and they said, "All right, well, y'all be safe, be cool," and then they just took off. You know what I mean? But we did have the run in with forestry out there, But and before when he found the Cascadia Guides, we talked about, let's just make sure that somebody or the forestry knows about if they know about this stuff. So they called the forestry department, they called the geological department, all up there on Paulina Peak. They said, "Have you seen these structures up there?" And they're like, "We don't even know what the hell you're talking about." Right?
Interesting. Yeah.
So that's why we were like, "Oh, okay, we're on to something, right? Something's good here." But for people, some folks might think, "Hey, these guys did it. They put it," hell no. And this is what we talked about earlier. When you're up there, it's 8,000 feet above sea level. We're here in Texas. We're like 2 feet above sea level, right? So when I was up there, every 5 to 10 minutes, we had to stop and take a break to get our breath. We couldn't catch our breath. So I don't know if you noticed his backpack. He was full of waters. We had waters out there. It was raining. It was awful. It was
usually for me it's beer.
Yeah.
There's no water.
So it was 56 degrees. It was 56 degrees up there. It was cold. Nice. August 1st, when it's hotter than crap down here in Texas, right? So, and I was just experiencing something different. The whole atmosphere was different. Of course, I'm scared of heights. I'm over here by the edge, trying to film, and I'm like, oh man, I better not slip. And Terry goes, "I know everybody. We'll watch you do the whole thing." So I'm trying to film and do everything at the same time. But just to let people know that every 5-10 minutes we had to take a breath. I had to take a breath, The air's so thin up there and the dense because of that. And it took us almost 2 hours down there, for what would have taken probably about 15-20 minutes here in Texas. That's how long it took us to get down there, film, get all the measurements, do everything that we had to do while it was raining off and on, and then climb back up. That was the hardest part, man.
Oh, yeah.
Back up. So me and Terry were just like sitting on a log every 5-10 minutes. I said, "Dude, let's just stop."
You got better footage of me sitting on them.
But there's some funny moments. I have a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I caught. So I do have that. And
the mushroom thing.
I'm going to end up showing a lot of that footage, like a spoof kind of thing, for the middle. But other than that, I mean, it's just one of those things that I will never forget. That experience that we had.
Yeah, that is an amazing story.
We went to a couple other locations.
Okay. Well, in the show, you talked about like there's a almost like a I don't even want to call like an alleyway that between there and Mount Shasta, where a lot of sightings are coming through. Like you see a lot of UFOs running just in that one little area like that. Like it's a little highway basically.
Yeah, I call that the Cascadia Passage.
Yeah, I can remember what it was.
It's Cascadia
that's so interesting coming off of Mount Shasta.
Yeah,
that it would be going that way, or even coming back and forth.
Well, from the top of Paulina Peak, from this location. See, that's how I found this location. Is when I was trying to find a spot to where I could see Mount Shasta and I could see Mount Adams in Washington. So I got Mount Shasta in California. I got Mount Adams in Washington State. And from this in particular location in the dead center of Oregon, I can see both of these different states. And if I turn around the other direction, I can see clear into Idaho and Nevada. So now I've got this just massive view. It's how much sky is that really?
Yeah,
I can see every volcano from Mount Shasta to Mount Adams. Okay.
Yeah.
What I found out through the different research that I've done is I found out that they're using every single one of these volcanoes as a hive. Okay. I want everybody to realize that every volcano you look at, pretty much every mountain you look at, is falling under this category. But every volcano you look at along this pathway is a hive, and they're living inside of the Earth at these locations. The things that I found out is that we've got these things that are going in and out of the Earth. They're using we all know who Dr. Einstein is. Dr. Einstein and Dr. Nathaniel Rosen put together what's called a Rosen bridge, and lately it's been really circulating a lot in the news lately through the discovery of another one of Dr. Einstein's theories, the black hole. Okay, well, basically what a black hole is it's a Rosen bridge that allows you to get from one section of a galaxy to another section of a galaxy through a wormhole. And a Rosen bridge is what's called a thin wall wormhole. These things are introduced in quantum physics as a shortcut to get from one place to another. Well, what's going on here is we mentioned earlier we have a gentleman named Tino Gallegos that's part of this. What he's done is he's managed to get several different craft as they enter the Earth. You don't see them actually go in. What you see is there's a hill here, and you see a craft go just behind it. But what the problem is here is that craft is moving at it's an accelerated rate. I'm going to say to probably the extent I like to say 22 miles a second, but anything that comes into our atmosphere, like a satellite or a shuttle, they all come in at 17,000 miles an hour, right? I am right about that, correct?
I think we're pretty sure you are.
Okay, so
it's not kind of.
I would look that up.
I would bet on it. Okay. Anyway, they come in at about 17,000 miles an hour. These craft, what they're doing is they're moving at the speed of repulsion, magnetic repulsion. Take two magnets that are on a repulse, hold them together, let it go, and watch them flip. That's magnetic repulsion. That's the speed of magnetic repulsion. Okay? That's how they're pushing. They're pushing off the Earth with that repulsion. They've got these magnetic flux tubes that go up to the craft that go down to the Earth, which is mostly magnetite. Remember I told you guys that I studied geology a little bit?
Yes. Okay.
Anyway, the Earth is mostly made of magnetite. We have another section up above that we call the ionosphere. Okay, ionosphere, magnetite. You got two spots here. You got positive up here. You got negative down here, or vice versa, depending on what's going on. Because electricity is really fun. Anyway, so you've got these two things that are going on, and you've got this superconductive craft that's in the middle, the UFO. Now, what it's doing is it's going between Earth and it's going up to ionosphere. And it goes, and that can actually go down inside all the way down to Earth iron core. Okay? Whatever. We got whatever's going on inside. They know where they're going. We don't. They're inside. They're in whatever pockets there are that they call their part. They're everywhere inside.
So you
just
think
like
that they're? So you think that as they're coming in, that they're just like almost like a garage door opener? They just hit the button and they're able to, I guess, open the bridge through the mountain and go
what
in?
it is, it becomes what's called a thin wall wormhole. And what happens is you get it's like a tube. It's just a tube.
Yeah.
They can shoot through lava. They can shoot through solid rock. They could go right through me and right into the ground, and I wouldn't even know that they were there.
We need one of those in San Antonio. Actually, every city in Texas needs one of those. With the way traffic is, it's horrific.
They got one in Las Vegas. Tesla put it in. Yeah.
A good example. I don't know if you guys have seen the footage from Popocatépetl there in Mexico, that volcano where they show a bunch of craft going in, going out, going in, and that volcano is 11,000 feet above sea level or something like that. And you see these crafts going in, and people always think. And this is what I thought, okay, because my mind is always going 100 miles an hour. You remember when they were shooting those Tic Tacs down and all this stuff was happening? I'm over here thinking, okay, so if they can go into lava, or they can go into hot magma or whatever it is, what the hell is our missile, $425,000 missile, going to do to something like that? Absolutely nothing.
I know, but
it's going to have to get lucky. It's going to have to get real lucky.
And this is the things I think about sometimes. It's like, how is this happening? You know what I mean? Unless it just released, like me and Terry always talk about this all the time, that the way these crafts, have you ever seen them wobble sometimes? When they're showing them and they're kind of wobbling a little bit. They're lower, close to the earth, right? So they're wobbling. It's almost like a boat when you throttle down a little bit, and it's got a little less power. But when you start giving it more power, you throttle up a little bit, and you start getting more stabilized, right, in the water or whatever it is. We use as an example, and that's how these things are able to and just take off. What he was just talking about, the flip of the magnet. That's the speed that these things are traveling, and these are what me and Terry talk about all the time, and how we're trying to figure out, this is the way these crafts have to work, because how else is this gonna happen? Of course, it's like anything else. We're just all kind of piecing everything together, of UFOs and ufology and everything that we're trying to do as a community, because I want everybody to understand here that we all work as a community together. Even yourself, Manny, Dre, we all work together as a community, even if ufologists, just to find out what's going on up in their skies. And this is what this is all about. This the podcast here, the middle, everything that we try to do is to try to answer the question, what is that? How? Why? You know what I mean? Right. So, and that's what we try to do all the time.
It's basically mankind's number one mystery to solve.
Right on.
All these UFOs.
I would like to extend an invitation to you gentlemen to become part of Alien Strand Disclosure Project to help with disclosure. You gentlemen are welcome to interview and state that you're part of the Alien Strand Disclosure Project.
Yeah, we'll definitely give it a whirl. It's a good thing to have everyone that's at least like-minded and trying to figure out this thing from a citizen point of view.
Correct. That's what we are. We're citizen ufologists.
Yeah. But here's the question. So we're kind of reaching the end of the podcast here in about 7 minutes. But number one, I do know that this is a significant area. So I imagine that, Terry, you're not the only one that's been seeing all these UFOs. No. So I understand you guys are talking about the middle two, which would be the next rendition of the documentary. Are we going to see a lot more people with their experiences?
Yeah, we're going to have on this next film, it's probably going to be about 8 people. The difference between this film and the documentary, the middle, it's just a little darker feel to it, because the things that we don't talk about sometimes is the what people go through during abductions, right? And the dark part of it, because there is a dark part of this. It's not all these beautiful aliens waving at us saying, "Hey, come on, come on." It's not a party. These things can be very evil at times too. You can experience a lot of darkness, and so what this next film CE3 is about people. You're going to see what these people go through or what they went through after witnessing a craft, the things that were happening in their homes. We already have like two or three people already on our Alien Strand Disclosure Project that are abductees, and they do experience dark things. So, and this is what we're going to talk. Yeah, and this is what we're going to talk about in the next film. Plus, we're still going to talk. We're going to hear Terry's full story that we left you hanging with.
Right.
At the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So
three times I watched the film 3 times. I'm still waiting for the story. I got the man right here, and I'm still waiting for the story.
That was the plan. Donald did really good on that, didn't he?
Yeah, no kidding. But I can only imagine, right? It seems like a really active area. You guys are picking up a lot. You're seeing a lot of video. More people coming in to give their experiences and share with the world, share with your group. My last question to you guys is, with everything that's going on right now, and I don't know if you guys know or not, but a paper was released that's still being reviewed by Avi Loeb and Kirkpatrick of Arrow. And they talk about in this paper, and by the way, what's his name? Sean Kirkpatrick. He's the one who runs Arrow. That's the all domain, whatever, all these damn acronyms. But in their paper, these guys got together and they talked about the possibility of a mother ship being in our solar system. And we have all these drones coming on. That's what we're seeing. It's actually like drones. What do you guys think about that?
That was a report that was also put out by NASA. That they do believe that there is a mothership that is up there. I'm starting to believe more towards that there is a like a galactic federation type thing. I had paid attention to a couple of doctors in the past that had visited with Mr. Art Bell, and he had a doctor. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I do remember, however, the book's name. It was called A Safe Place. And he had talked about being abducted by Palladians and taken to, where was that? Well, he was taken to a location up in where everybody, all the different alien races met. And he was told by General Zorn, something like that, that
Galactic Federation. I think so.
That's it, Galactic Federation. That's exactly it. Anyway. This keeps popping up, and the different people, and since this is obviously, I don't just sit the hell down on this one. I interview people, and I've interviewed abductees. I've interviewed several different people, and they come to the same type of conclusions. This thing that's going on south of me at Mount Shasta, they actually have a religion that very much falls into this Palladian. They don't even realize it's Palladian. They call themselves the I Am. And I'm sure all of us have run across them at some point or another. And their beliefs are very similar to this Palladian movement. Mount Shasta has a lot of things going on. There's lots of crystals in this mountain. If you go up north towards Mount Adams, there's another religion that falls directly beneath the mountain of Mount Adams. You go out to the furthest point of what I call the Cascadia Passage. That puts you out by the Grand Tetons in Wyoming. Is the furthest point. That's where the point meets. Is right at Grand Teton. There's another religion.
Dre's been trying to start a Bigfoot religion.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that's all through there. Now, as far as Bigfoot and all these things are concerned, there's a section that's dead center of what I call the Cascadia Passage between Mount Shasta and Mount Adams, and it's what you're viewing from the top of Helena Peak, and it goes from over by Crescent Lake all the way over to Mount Jefferson, and that whole section is called the Wendigo Trail.
Okay.
There you go.
That
Trey,
was all
your
mentioned.
place.
That was part of the film too, the Wendigo Trail.
That was part of the film. And I went to where the head of this is, and I filmed it, and I had a video where, as I was videoing this, I had Chris Hamill out in Australia do the filtration, but he counted over 35 craft coming out of the face of the mountain right there.
Yeah, I could just imagine.
And I sat there on top of Black Crater or Black Hole, where we were at, where they got the pit, where he got the pictures of me and all of that. As we're up on top of that big lava flow, and I sat there and I watched 5 craft come out of that mountain one night, and one of the craft that was going over the top of us was at that spot. That was in the documentary. One of the craft that went over this that night was over the top of us, where there was a nucleus, and that was over the top of Black Hole. Now, over the top of Hole in the Ground, which you guys also saw, it's a mile and a half, or it's a mile wide, from one side to the other, the crater. Right over the top of that, I had 2 crafts go over the top of me, and I caught that with just taking still shots.
Yeah, the footage in the film is amazing about all these UFOs that you've caught, especially the one with the nucleus. That was interesting to watch as it played off.
A little bit later after that, we ended up with, what was that? What do they call that? Skylink went directly over the top of us. Now that was twice. Yeah. That was twice as intimidating as the actual UFO.
Yeah, they still report that as UFOs. That is pretty hilarious.
I mean, I personally think that, if there's a mothership up there, and there probably is one, we probably can't see it, right off the bat. There's, of course, everybody's catching these drones, these silver metallic looking drones that are just coming out of the sky, falling on the ground too. And we've even seen these metallic balls. There's video and photos of these things that are coming out of the bottom of these crafts, of these UFOs. Whatever they're doing, and I caught it like Joe Rogan explained one time. He just said, I just think that whatever these things are, just like what we're doing on Mars, we're just put our drones out there, check it out, make sure we know what's going on there, seeing the air, the temperature, everything, what's going on. We want to see everything that's going on this planet. And I have a feeling that that's what they're doing. They've probably been doing it for a long time. Now, even more than ever. I don't know why, but I just think we all feel in the ufology community right now that something big is coming around the corner. We just don't know exactly what it is and how to pinpoint it. But just real quick, I saw this video just the other day, and I'm going to try to send it to you. This man goes to his friend's house that was a video producer, movie maker, and he says, "Hey, I want you to come to my house. There's these round balls. It's out there in Arizona." He says, "They're sitting in my yard. I don't know what the hell they are." So this guy goes over there and he just goes and checks. He's just a good friend of his. He goes, "Hey, what are all these things?" He goes, "I don't know." He goes, "But I'm going to tell you this. Whatever they are, I saw a UFO craft, something that looked like a UFO, dropping these things from the bottom, and they fell right there. And I haven't touched them since they've been sitting there for 3 years."
Oh, geez.
He's like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, they've been sitting there for 3 years." He goes, "You can have one if you want." He goes, "Oh, okay." So he grabs the ball, and it's about like the size of a bowling ball. It's metallic round. It's not real super shiny. It's just that metallic color that we see on these crafts, right? Yeah, dull. And he takes it home. He says he's just kind of messing around with it, seeing it there, put it on his counter or everything. He said one day he decided he was just kind of laying on the floor watching TV. He puts his feet on top of it, and he says he freaking blacked out and saw this freaking white light, like something shot through him, right? And he saw things that he couldn't explain what he had seen. He goes, "I didn't believe in UFOs or nothing like that." Or he goes, "This is 43 years ago."
43 years ago.
Yeah, I said, "I'm telling you, this is how long," and he still has this ball. He still has it. He keeps it like right on a little platform, and he's telling this story. And he's showing the ball, showing everybody, "This is what I have. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it came from, but I know it's not from here." So coming to the drone thing, it's something's up there. They're dropping these things down. They're sending drones down. They're sending smaller craft. They're sending larger craft. to check out what's going on. I don't know. Just like what we're seeing now more than ever, I just think that something bigger is coming around. And yeah, I believe there's something up there watching a lot bigger than we actually think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But that's a life lesson. Don't go touching everybody else's balls. But,
no, that's when I was riding with the motorcycle club I found out you don't drink that much.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't.
Especially 43-year-old balls.
Yeah.
Especially your own. Especially your own.
Yeah. So, listen, Donald, the last question goes to you. Now that you've got this documentary under your belt, you have another one planning on in the way. Do you have the fever for more interviews and documentaries of other folks and their experiences?
Oh yeah, most definitely, because people have been contacting me and I've been contacting them, and these are people right out of the blue. They're not people from the History Channel. They're not these famous folks that you see. These are everyday people that have experienced something. Now, out of this next film, I might have 3 of these folks that are totally petrified to being on camera, because they're going to tell a story that they have never told anybody or haven't, or they're telling the story that a lot of people thought that they were just crazy, which is that stigma we talked about,
right.
And it almost ruined their lives in a sense. So this is their first time ever being on film, and they're going to tell their story. And I just feel that, I'm going to make more of these. Hell yeah, I'm going to make more of these, and they're going to be about people every day that go through this, because I want people out there in the world to understand and see what all these folks are going through. It's not just seeing this spaceship in the sky or whatever, it's like I always talk about on my podcast. It's not going to look like Star Wars or, anything like that, Star Trek. These crafts are going to look almost just, saucer shaped. That's it. These are going to be the real ones that you see in the sky. But this is what it's not glamorizing it. You know what I mean? We're not glamorizing it. We're showing you the truth and the reality of what folks go through, and how much it has cost them in their lives, as far as relationships, things like that, just their mental state as well, right. And we're going to show that, because we want people to understand that. And I'm going to make this one, and we're going to do another one on the Cascadia, so that way people can understand and see everything that we found. And we're going to get into super detail on that Cascadia Guides. And it's going to show everything in there. So there's going to be maybe, I'm going to say 3 parts to this, at least. And then, we
got cattle mutilation.
Yeah, we're going to do cattle mutilations. Because there's a lot there in Oregon, man.
Both north and south of me.
Yep. So, there's a lot more to be putting out there. And do I spread myself thin? Hell yeah, I do. I'm
I can imagine.
I'm like in a band. I do this. I do my podcast. But you know what? My passion is ufology, and my passion is to be a filmmaker. And to show people what they're seeing, and to put it in a scale to where you can understand. And that's how I edited this film.
And that's fantastic. And I'm glad, like I said, that you guys were able to come on here and share the in and outs of the film. It looks like Dre got to say something. What you got to say, Dre?
No, I'm fine. I'm enjoying
your legs a little bit.
I'm hoping for number 4.
Yeah. And what's fantastic about the whole thing, just in closing statement here, is that you're sharing information from the common individual. We're not going through this whole government thing where it's only military reports, only military sightings, only military experiences, because there's so much more out there that's not being reported, not being analyzed, not being looked at. And that's where you guys come in. And I appreciate all of that, because you guys can probably gather more data than an F-22 going after a balloon. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? And I thank you guys for that. And I can't wait to see the next film. And if you guys are interested, the listening audience, the viewing audience, the link is in the description for the film, the trailer. And if I'm sure if you guys want to stop by to the Alien Strand Disclosure Project, you can talk to Terry, you can talk to Donald, and maybe get more info. And if you want to talk to Dre about Bigfoot, you can. He'll give you some info.
Well, right now you can catch our movie on Amazon Prime. We're on Hoopla, and we're on Tubi TV. Of course, with Tubi TV, it's free, but there's commercials, so you're going to see commercials. But if you watch it on Amazon Prime Video and all those other ones, they're actually premium channels. It's like $2.99, real cheap, man. I made it.
You
really
can also buy it there.
Yeah, you can buy it there too. I made it really inexpensive, so that way people can sit there and watch it. And it's family friendly. It's not, nothing that we're showing, derogatory or anything like that in this film. So, we have it's gonna be on Apple TV here pretty soon, and we're gonna have it on 6 more channels on top of that. So platform.
Beautiful footage.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Thank you.
Remember to buy a shirt.
Yeah, don't forget get a shirt.
Don't forget
man.
the merch.
Yeah, that supports the next film, because what I talked about earlier, films are very expensive to make. Anywhere from $15,000 to $100,000. Even documentaries, that's what they run. So it's not cheap. You know what I mean? And so anything we can get for help, it's appreciated, and that all that helps us with production, fuel, hotels, and taking care of everything, food, everything that we need to film all these days. That way we can give you a good product, in return. You know what I mean? Yeah. So and that's what we're trying to do with this next film.
Food, ammo, and beer.
So check this out. Here's an interesting little tidbit. So when we first got everything put out, somebody ripped it right off and put it straight onto YouTube without.
Of course.
Anyway,
China.
the amount of views that they had on YouTube would have paid for Donald's gas, his hotels, his. The fact that he had to eat, the fact that he brought people with him, the fact that he bought extra it would have paid for a lot of stuff, and all it took was just one weekend of 700. Yeah, it was like 750 people watched it on YouTube because it had gotten stolen by somebody else that decided they wanted to share it for us. So I want to thank that person. We actually have an idea of who it was. We removed him from several groups on Facebook, and he left us a bit. We'll just say he left us the most wonderful review. Yeah. We'll just say it. I don't ever really mention it in any of the other stuff, but he left us the most wonderful review.
Let me anyway. I'm gonna clarify something just real quick before we close. It's just that this film, I did get it copyrighted to the Copyright Office in the United States. The Copyright Office, so it is copyrighted. That's why. You know what I mean? We went through a big ordeal to do this, so that way we can protect the film. For one,
right.
We have to protect everything that we did, because it took me 4 months to edit this. So for every 1 minute of footage that you saw in there, 1 minute took me 4.5 to 5 hours to edit with that 1 minute of footage. So that's why it took me so long to edit everything, because I wanted everything to be perfect. It's a lot of work, and it took a lot of family time away from me. It took a lot of things away to get this footage out. And then for somebody to steal it in less than 3 hours and put it out there for 3 days, you know what I mean? That's what I was upset about. But of course we took care of it, and it's now no longer on YouTube, and you can't get it on YouTube. We're the only ones that can put it on YouTube right now. Because of that copyright. And we did that just to protect the film, really, in reality. We wanted to make sure that I get it, man. People will do that. They do it, but they shouldn't, and this is why we work hard for all this stuff to try to get you guys to see something that you've never seen before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's go ahead.
Hopefully your work continues to pay off. There's bad apples in everything, right? Sadly. So I thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for putting a great show together. Dre, thank you too.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Donald.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you guys. Both of you guys. Thank you.
All right. Look forward to having you guys on again.
Thank you for having us here.
Whenever we get the middle two out there, because I'm sure it's going to be fantastic stuff to see, especially those interviews with those individuals, experiencers.
And I'll send you the pre-release. Once we get done with that, I'll send you guys a pre-release you'll be able to see before everybody else. And
we'd
tell
love
us
that.
what you think and run a review on it,
I'm just going to go to the house and drink a beer with you.
Is that all you got to do is come knock on the door?
You'll never leave, Donald. You'll never leave.
Look at Terry over there.
All right, you guys. Thank you for showing up. Have a great evening.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you, brother. See you on the next one.
You guys have a great night. Good night.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to France, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. I don't give a damn, I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You're mad at me for not giving you comfort. You say that I'm away so much, and now you don't feel the way you felt when we were younger. But that's okay.